Hey Sid, what's up, buddy? How are
What's
things?
Good afternoon on this lovely Friday afternoon where it's actually nice outside.
Is it nice? You got some good weather up
It
there.
it is. It's beautiful. Last 2 days have been like 80 and it's not very humid and it's very nice outside.
Nice.
How about you?
Yeah, no complaints. A little hot out there for us. It is a beautiful morning this morning. It was like 66 degrees this morning when I went out walking at 4:45.
Very nice.
By the time I got back, it was like upper 70s. So it gets hot. As soon as the sun clears the horizon, Phoenix warms up pretty good.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got my 10,000 steps in this morning, and I have decided, Sid, that I'm heading out for a motorcycle ride. I'll leave a week from yesterday
Very
and go up
nice.
to southern Utah for a few days.
Oh,
And for those of you wanting to know who's going with me, no one's going with me. That's the
just
way I
you?
like it.
Very
Just
nice.
me and my bike.
How long have you been doing that?
I've had the bike for 4 years, so I've been out I've gone on. I don't ride it around town. Said,
Yeah.
it's a big beast. I don't like
Yeah.
fight with it. But I've done probably 18 or 20 long multi-day rides.
Nice.
The longest being 17 days.
Very nice.
This one coming up, the big one in August, I will head north, and I have absolutely no plans other than to ride 3 specific roads, really high mountain roads. And other than that, I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm just
Good.
going to make the decision as I'm doing it. So
Good. So is that a hog? Is that like one that's got all the
it's
storage things on the back and the sides? And
oh yeah, I got the saddlebags on the back. I got a trunk on it. I took off the extra seat because my wife absolutely refuses to ride with me. And
Oh,
if she's not going to ride with me, I can't imagine who else would.
yeah.
My daughter has forbid me to strap the baby seat onto the and I'm thinking, what's up with that? I mean, we could use good cables. It should be fine.
Right. Get them started early,
It should be fine. What could go wrong? Then I hit the road and take my cameras and try to see places that I wouldn't normally get to see. I stay off of freeways. I hate freeways.
Good. Back roads only. Good.
Yeah, back roads only, because a freeway means I need to get from here to there, and there's no there that I need to get to, so I'll meander through.
Yeah.
So what's your plans for the summer? Because I know you're going to come on. I just read where your governor had a 37-point plan to get you guys open in 10 years.
Yes.
And I think
yes.
this is
So
awesome.
we learned on Tuesday that photography in this area is considered retail services, and they said effective immediately, we can open up. So
All right.
I had a gig on Wednesday, and judging from my Instagram feed of all my local brethren for photographers in the area, they also had gigs on Wednesday. So that's nice. Now the big thing is our city, the aldermen next week are voting on mandated mask implementation. So right now, every Nashua, New Hampshire Facebook group is screaming with people that feel their freedoms are being stolen from them. But they're going to vote next week on whether or not you have to be wearing a mask if you go out to businesses. And then they're also our Main Street. We're a Main Street community, so they're going to put up big barriers and cut the traffic down to 1 lane each way, so that the restaurants on Main Street can put tables and stuff out on the streets. But everything's opening up.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
We keep hearing more and more from people like the WHO and the CDC that the masks don't make a difference, and now they're going to make everybody wear them. I don't get that. I really
so
don't.
back and forth. Yeah.
Wish I could understand. Should have been wearing them way back then, but now we're going to. It's
right.
What do you do?
I mean, if wearing them will help prevent, like another outbreak, especially when people are opening up.
And I don't think they will.
No,
unless you're wearing a CV 95s or whatever.
And 95 or something. Yeah.
If you're not wearing a 95, no. almost in fact, you're probably hurting your health more than you are saving somebody else's. They don't work. I mean, I wear a bandana, you know, I wear one
Hmm.
of these things, around my face,
Yeah.
but if I sneeze in here, this is going to catch a lot of it.
Yep.
I think the social distancing is the thing that works the most.
Yeah.
Because they're now the WHO has said, oh, you don't have to be 6 feet away from people. You only have to be 3 feet away from people. Oh, it'd been nice to know that a couple of, weeks ago. So no, I think personally, I think we've entered into the government as theater now, just like the TSA. It's just theater.
Hmm.
It says, look how safe we're keeping you, and yeah, okay. So you got some jobs coming up?
I had a headshot that came in the other day, and then emails went out Wednesday morning, just reminding clients who I was, and I'm still here, and what's on the schedule, and what's what do things look like. So some emails have been coming back so far. Some of them it was a time specific thing, so they're like, we might try it again this time next year. Other places are just like, we're still trying to figure out what's going. Everybody still doesn't know what's going on. Everyone's still up in the air. It's like, our city is kind of opening up, but like Manchester, which is two towns over, they're not as anxious to open up as quickly. So I don't know. I think this summer is just going to be one big question mark. Like,
Yeah. Well,
all we can do is remind people that we're here and we're ready, to help them when they're ready.
Well, let's hope. And I saw a blurb just before I got on here that Fauci now says open the country. So I've been hearing a lot of people say, do what Fauci says. Do what Fauci says. Okay, Fauci just said open the country. We'll see what happens. We need to get back to work. We need to stop this stuff and get things going again. Being as safe as possible, which I think we can. We're pretty smart as humans. We put people on the moon 40 frickin' years ago. We can certainly figure out some things here. What's happening on my end, my friend? Getting several calls from people wanting to talk about e-commerce. I mentioned something about e-commerce, and it got to some people's ears. So I'm looking at possibly doing a couple of photo/website gigs for people. I'm telling photographers, let everybody know you're an e-commerce specialist, visual e-commerce specialist, because that's what we are. And to be a visual e-commerce specialist, you have to make really dramatic images, and you have to know how to shoot on white. I think we can do that.
Yep.
And let people know, because it's the buzzword of the future. Buzzword of right now, anyway.
Good.
Not enough input from other photographers this week. Everybody has been in various stages of opening up.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, and probably have more to talk about next week with other photographers here in Phoenix and in LA.
What's your area like? Like, are you pretty embedded with sort of the photography universe that's out there, or like,
me particularly?
Yeah. Like,
I am. I have deep roots in LA, Phoenix, and New York for tapping into photographers, and San Francisco as well. Phoenix itself is it's a small town. It's a little town, probably not much different than you guys. I think our biggest ad agency here has 24 employees, to give you any idea. The biggest ad agency in Kansas City has 370 employees. So just, we're a small town. We're kind of podunk here. We don't have any, and this is an interesting thing for those of you trying to figure out what's going on with your town. We don't have any Fortune 500s in Phoenix, other than the waste disposal, which is, you're going to get a job, you know, you want to go. But, you know, it's, I guess when you go to the Phoenix Open and it's the Waste Disposal Open, yes, sir, that's really special. But we don't have those kinds of big anchors. Fortune 500 companies, not only do they have massive needs usually for photography, not only external but internal.
Yeah.
They also create massive amounts of vendors. You know, your company makes this, well, somebody makes a crate that your thing goes into, they're going to have an office there. And, you know, you have all this. So the difference between Phoenix and Denver, for instance, is night and day. Denver has like 50 Fortune 500s. We have, I believe it's one. It might be two. We used to have Dial Corporation, but they moved their head office to Chicago. So we don't really have Dial anymore. But when you're in a town and you have no giant anchors, the focus of your work is going to be on those jobs that don't repeat all the time. Where somebody in Chicago, for instance, a number of years ago, one of my friends moved to Chicago, and immediately hitting there got the Book of the Month Club account, which, if you remember, they don't do it anymore. That's all online. They used to you'd get a brochure in the mail every month, 8-page brochure. And the books would be stacked up on, you know, with like still lifes of books. Well, that one job paid his house payment, his car payment, his studio rent payment, his bills, and everything else was gravy. Those jobs are hard to find when you're in Phoenix and, you know, Albuquerque, Omaha, places like that. Those are hard jobs. So we end up fighting for those jobs that come around every once in a while, like the golf club brochure for the golf club down the street here. They just put out a big shiny new brochure. So I don't know who shot it, but it's nicely done. Nicely done. It wasn't Unsplash, trust me. It was actually shot on that golf course. Really, really nice shots. Probably about 20, 25 shots. So good job, right? But they're not going to reprint that brochure for 4 or 5 years. So we're constantly doing, you know, if you want to look at you know, the job as a peak, we're constantly looking for that peak, and then it just falls off. So we try to find the intermediaries that have as much variety to their jobs. I mentioned on the AS&P thing, I mentioned I stopped being an ad shooter back in the 80s because ad agencies here in Phoenix were doing the 60 days to pay you, right? And you call on the 60th day and they go, oh, we can't find your invoice. Could you send it again? And that resets the clock at 60 days. So now you're out 120 days. Well, you start feeling like a bank. But you're not getting any interest. So I started going directly to clients and I offered my service. And then that, in this little room, this little 10 by 12 spare bedroom, that's my office, in late 80s, developed into the 3rd largest ad agency in Phoenix. And we had a big, beautiful office downtown, 3,700 square feet, 2 stories, big mezzanine level. You know, be careful what you wish for. When you own an ad agency, you don't get to shoot very many pictures anymore.
Right.
So, but in small towns, it's graphic designers. That's who I tell my photographers, my P52, is to cultivate relationships with graphic designers, because they're getting clients from all over. They don't specialize like ad agencies will specialize. They do TV commercials, or these folks do consumer electronics, where graphic designers are like, what you need. And I think that's a great place to cultivate some ongoing long-term work other than ad agencies. Ad agencies are great. Let them come to you. You have a farther bigger chance of landing the deal if they come to you than if you go to them. And then, of course, direct client. Direct client is maybe even the best. Did you catch my ASMP thing?
I've got it bookmarked. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, though.
All right, Sid's leaving us now. Bye, Sid. Have a go. No, I'm just kidding.
Wah, wah.
In what I said to ASMP is one of the things that has been trending and is now post-COVID, now is an absolute must, is photographers have got to start seeking out one-to-one relationships with brands. If you have a list today, and I don't know how big your list is, but I recommend photographers have 250 to 300 names on a list, maybe 350 tops, unless you're so rural, you're out in the weeds somewhere and you've got to get, you got Cincinnati and Cleveland and, Columbus, because you're way over, 100 miles north of Dayton. You've got to draw.
Yep.
250, 300 names, and you can focus on them. That you're going to continue to do. But I also think you need to find like Bob's Steak Sauce, and they make it right down the street or across town from you. You need to get out, have a conversation with Bob's Steak Sauce, not their ad agency, not their designer, Bob's Steakhouse, their product manager.
Yep.
And maybe you go and buy a couple of bottles of Bob's Steakhouse and you do a really killer set of still lifes. Well, how long should I spend on that, Don? Well, I don't know. You got anything else to do? Then do that. You don't have anything else to do?
To make it look good.
Yeah. Do 6 or 8 if you got a weekend.
Yep.
Kids are gone or whatever. Do 6 or 8. And then take them and make some low res and say, hey, I'd love to work for you. And by the way, I love your steak sauce. And here's 4 shots for your Instagram. Courtesy me. Enjoy. Photographers will say, well, you're giving your work away. No. I'm greasing the skids for more work.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Right. And it doesn't take any extra effort. I mean, it's
no,
it doesn't take any extra oomph.
I think that photographers need that 250 to 300, and they also have to have, I think, in-house 10 to 15, those one-to-ones, where you're really, you're not sending them the same picture you send to that 250, because that's sort of a, really cool shot that you want to get everybody to come back to your website and see all. You're sending them stuff that has to do with their client, their
specific
particular product.
Yep. Yes.
How many people have found your pictures? By the way, if you don't know, Sid has been surreptitiously going around his little town there in New Hampshire, hiding prints. You've got them in containers, so they're plastic, so they're very protected.
Let me grab them and I'll show one on the screen. Got my little box here.
And as we're talking right now, there's absolutely no truth to the rumor that the New Hampshire governor has declared the act a terrorist act.
Don't say that.
That's just some people talking.
Don't say that. So this was the where's my camera here? This is my little Free Art Nashua project. So I make up a little slip on the back that says Free Art Nashua, art that you find, art that you keep. I've got a little hashtag, and then I say you want to participate. Step 1, make art. Step 2, hide art. Step 3, take a photo showing where the art can be found. Step 4, hashtag the photo Free Art Nashua and post it on social media. And then step 5, make someone happy. And then it's got a little brand down here where they can look up my website if they want.
And what's the photo? What's the photo on the front? You showed us the brand. You didn't show us the damn photo.
Exactly. So this is, I don't know if you can see it very well. It is, it's of a Michael Jackson toy dancing.
Cool.
Yes. So a lot of the stuff I've hidden is all, mostly it's all toy-based stuff. So here's like little Rob the Robot from the Nintendo days. And we've got Michael Jackson. And we've got a Sega Saturn controller. Just like little fun things. Especially like I figure stuff like this, like it's another little robot, like, kids will go looking for it and they'll find it and they'll be like, hey. And so we've been hiding them throughout town, although there's not a lot of people outside now, so they're not really going around.
Have you seen anybody post anything on Instagram?
Yes, the last one we did was during an Open Studios event citywide.
Mm-hmm.
I hid them on sort of the course that people would walk. And sure enough, man, I started looking up the hashtags and people started finding them and they were posting them on Instagram. And it's kind of cool. It's just a cool little treasure hunt thing that people can find it and keep it. And what I'm hoping it'll do is it'll inspire other people, not only in my city, but other places. Just do it. Like it doesn't, like, especially with.
I just got my 25 prints in from Artifact Uprising. I'm going to
Good.
I've got my envelopes and everything. I'm going to do the same thing.
Awesome. Yay.
And
Yeah.
by the way, when I go to Utah, I'm doing it on the way to Utah.
Yes. Hide them in. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, in like rest stop areas and,
Good.
and I'll take a landscape shot from where the spot where it is. I'll take a shot and I'll say, looking north, looking south, whatever.
That's excellent.
And let them find it.
That's the way. And, I think I get these prints off of White House Custom Color and I think I pay, I don't even know, like they're less than $1 a piece. So it's like 60 cents or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what a great little,
hey, it's
just
fun.
Yeah. It's just every time I do a print order, I just throw in a whole batch of these things with a bunch of little photos of toys and whatever.
Mike Thompson's sitting there thinking, well, I could give away some of my daguerreotypes, which are worth like 60 or 80.
Oh, I don't do daguerreotypes. You developed the daguerreotype with fumed mercury, and I have no interest in that.
You're doing gum bichromate and
gum bichromate,
and
platinum, cyanotypes. And I might get into orotypes, but right now I want to really nail these 3 down first.
Are you doing wet plate?
Not yet, no.
Not yet. Okay, no. That's collodion, right?
Yeah. And that's what that was. I think I showed that to you a few days ago or something.
Also known as instant death. So do not get that stuff.
Yeah, that's another one that requires some serious ventilation, and I don't have that. So I'm holding off on that one. But I'm reading the books that are mandatory, Don. I got your reading list. I've got all the books. I'm reading them. I read The Steal Like an Artist, and I'm working on his other one right now. I think took an hour and a half to read. And it's
Keep on going, book. Or whichever one it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on my desk or out there, but anyhow, it's working hard. So right now, you see me running back and forth. I'm working on a gum bichromate on my linearization. So this is a blocking curve to see where I need to start. And I'm just about to print the 21 patch so that I can go down and print that and then start getting it linearized.
Now, do you print with a like an enlarger light, or you use sunlight, or?
No, I actually have a $20 UV light from Amazon.
Okay.
And for most of the alternative processes, the most important part of it is not how fancy and expensive the light is that you're in the right nanometer range. So ideally you want to be between 360 and 420. And I think the one I've got is about 380 to 400, which...
Whoa, hold on. You're doing photography that doesn't matter how much crap you have and how much you spent on it?
I'm actually, that's something else I'm working on, Don, is a...
guess this is the new normal here, I guess, guys. Welcome to post-COVID where...
I'm going to actually do I need to linearize the sun. As strange as it sounds, but I need to linearize the sun for cyanotypes.
Yeah.
And then offer digital negatives for anybody for a reasonable sum so they can go do cyanotypes themselves out in the sun. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the sun being, depending on time of year, so on and so forth, I mean, you can
when I did platinum, I used sun, right?
Yeah, you can do, and I've done that as well.
Like, I want to say 25, 30 minutes or something.
It depends. I've done it in a minute and a half on my back porch in full sunlight, and I've done it in 64 minutes on my front porch. I mean, there's like 8 stops of light difference. So.
All right. Well, remind me that 30 minutes in the sun, is that daguerreotype then? Is that wet plate maybe?
No. I mean, it's just like anything, Don. You're just going to meter it.
Because we got some serious sun here in Phoenix.
Yeah,
Mike.
buddy.
You got some
You would-
serious sun.
You could
Well, I would estimate, just guessing, in the high summer at a 3 o'clock in the afternoon with no clouds in the sky, it's going to be 30 seconds to a minute
Yeah, that
to
wasn't it.
expose your, a platinum.
That wasn't it.
But if you put it in the shade, depending on how many stops difference you get, just math it out, So you could even do it in Phoenix and make it take 30 minutes if you have, shade. So,
Cool.
it depends. But you can't control the sun.
Yeah.
So the problem with the sun is you can't do that and ask people to pay you for it, because every single image is going to be significantly different. And really, your linearization ain't going to be so good, as opposed to my little $20 light from Amazon. I can nail that sucker every single time.
Yeah.
Well,
In fact, this is an unsplash image, and that's a palladium.
Yes.
And I mean, I've got as black as you're going to get here, and you can see the light highlights. I mean, it's
You could
nailed.
show the portrait of my mom.
Oh yeah, I got that sitting here somewhere.
Mike, when you say you can't control the sun, well, maybe you can't.
Oh.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So this is a picture of Sophie's mom. Now this one here, I actually had a blocking
Mm-hmm.
so that it did a nice clean border. I'm not going to do that going forward, because I was telling these guys in an earlier call, one of the things about that is some people want to see that.
Process. That's the process.
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, exactly. So by me choosing to make it clean, she doesn't have the option of saying, you know what, I want to show off the platinum side of it.
Yep.
Now she just got it clean. If she wants it to be clean, all you got to do is put a mat on it.
Put a mat on.
Actually, I'm going to
Absolutely.
redo this for you, Sophie. I'll send you this one and another one. That way you get the choice. But unless a client says specifically, I want clean edges, it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
And the thing about this is, it's like anything, Don. I mean, as you do more and more and more of it, you find more and more tiny things that make a big difference. And one of the things that I've discovered that really makes a tremendous difference in the quality of the image is how you put the emulsion on the paper. And most people will use, a brush or whatever. And you can use a crappy brush. You can use a good brush. You can use a $30 Richardson brush. And I can still do it better with a glass rod. And I found that out, that the glass rod is the best way to get the smoothest emulsion. Sid knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I mean, that's where you get that crispy image.
Yeah. But my wife, she used to do a lot of albumin printing.
Okay.
So I've got a box downstairs in the basement that's just full of printing frames and
Nice.
and we did calotypes and we did salt prints and we did platinum palladium printing. I am so happy that handmade processes are making such a comeback. Not to jump into your story too much, but when my wife and I decided we were going to get married, like people were asking who was going to do the wedding photography, and we wanted a small wedding. We didn't want someone running around the camera during the wedding and stuff like that. But in my heart of hearts, I was like, if I could find somebody, and this was right when that guy that was making really large wet plates out of his van.
Ian Rutger.
Yes, that was when people were just starting to talk about him. And I was like, if I could find somebody local that would do tintypes of my wife and I, and like in our wedding outfits, that would be insane. So I started looking around, and it was before this sort of handmade tintype resurgence. And it was just like, I think the people at the time that were so into this method, like it almost seemed like they were living. I mean, there was like John Coffer. I think he's up in Vermont or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But most of those people, like, it was like they lived in the 1800s. There was no way to get a hold of them. There was no online presence. There was no contact information. And so I went to 2 large format photography forums and I was asking around, and somebody said, I think there's a guy that teaches at the University of New Hampshire. You should reach out to him. So I got a hold of this guy, and he was the chair of the foreign language department. His name was Yigi Wang. He just did this on his own. Like,
Wow.
When we finally was working with him, I was asking him all kinds of questions, and he was just like, he loves images of dilapidated barns that are falling down. And he's like, I went through every, large format, medium format. He's like, I went through film, I went through digital. He's like, I used a Holga. He's like, I tried all of these methods and I couldn't replicate like what I was seeing in my brain so somebody showed him wet plate for the first time and he took a picture of a barn and he was just like, holy shit, this is exactly what I've been seeing in my head. So he lined us up for a day. He was so awesome. Like he lined us up for a day. He's got a massive collection of old, wet plate stuff. So what I thought we were going to get on the day was a couple of 4x5s. And he was like, and maybe I'll take an 8x10. The night before he calls me and I thought he was going to cancel on me. I'm like, oh my God, don't do this to me. And he was just like, you know what? He's like, I'm not going to do anything small. He's like, I have a 20x24-inch camera. He's like, just come up and we'll do that all day. So we went up with him and I'm going to post the link to the shots that we ended up, at the end of the day, we got 8 20x24-inch wet plates. The lens, I mean, you could put your head inside that lens. It was like, it's like a warp pipe from Super Mario Brothers. So here's let me drop that in there. And they're so gorgeous. They're huge. And it's just, in watching him go through and he was like, of course I was just like sucking up as much information as I could at the time. Cause I'm just, oh my God, like what's, and they're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. And watching him with something this large, we had like little posing stands and we had all kinds of crazy stuff. They're just, so my heart goes out to anybody. I wish every time I come in the studio and I look at one of these things, I'm like, I'm just going to set fire to the studio, burn it down and just do nothing but those. Cause they're just, it's just such a fantastic process. And I'm so happy that people are doing them again. I mean, and this is like wizards and alchemy and like just crazy, crazy stuff. So I'm so glad that it's caught on because it seemed like for a long time, like not many people did it.
You know what that lens looks like? Go back to that first one, Don, with the two of them. And I hate calling it this, but I'm going to. That very first one, right? Yeah, the next one.
This one?
No, the next one. Click one. There you go, that one. Look at the background. Mm-hmm. And this looks like that classic Petsville lens.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh,
that's exactly.
Freaking gorgeous.
We went in, he was varnishing them. We went to pick him up a week later and he was varnishing them in his living room. His wife had like a china cabinet and all the china was gone. And the whole cabinet was just lenses from the 1800s. And they were huge, like not little tiny, like 4x5, little, these were massive, massive brass lenses. And he's just like, and what he does is he doesn't charge for it. He doesn't do it as a profession. The way he gives back is he goes to reenactments and he'll photograph like little kids that'll dress up. He'll photograph the kids and then he'll give the kids the actual plate.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's so amazing. Absolutely. I didn't mean to jump on your thing, but
no, you're fine.
I love it so much. Like I can't contain myself.
We're going to have to connect on Facebook, right? Because I could talk about this all day long.
There's no aperture inside these lenses.
No. So this was wide open. I think
they're all wide open.
Yeah, and I think it was I think he said it was probably like a 5.6 or an f4 or something like that.
Yeah,
the exposures
that's probably the 4.
Yeah, I think the exposures were right around 11 or 12 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see in that image between where our hands are, if you look right down below our hands, he had, like posing things. So it was like, he had stuff up against our necks so that we wouldn't move too much and stuff like that. And then he had a small portable U-Haul that was right outside his garage, and that was his developing area. So he'd make the exposure, he'd grab there's a little video too, I think somewhere on one of those links. And then he would bring the whole thing right in this little U-Haul, and he would throw the stop bath on it, and he would bring it out, and he would throw it in the rinse, and then you could watch it develop right in front of you. And it was absolute magic. It's absolute magic.
Nice.
So, bless you for doing that. I just, after my
Mike,
heart.
have you been able to start talking to any galleries yet, or is the whole thing messed up any?
No. You know what? I haven't got out lately. I've got so many millinotes set up, so many projects I want to work, so on and so forth. And okay, I look at everything from a business standpoint. As much as I love photography and I would rather be outside shooting my 8x10 every single day, the shortest path to any kind of profit is going to be printing, So I've spent most of my time lately really perfecting that. And, I'm offering basically just 3 options. You got platinum, palladium, cyanotype, or gum bichromate. And I've got the first two, my curves are good. You know, the last one, gum is funny because it's so much looser than the other two, and it is so much more artistic. But
It's also got a whole lot of random built into it.
oh, absolutely. Oh, gum's actually a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
It really is. But and you can only lay down, you know, one layer every 3 to 5 hours because it has to dry fully in between. I mean, this one here I exposed about 3 hours ago. I mean, shortly after, well, yeah, maybe that, anyhow. But it's not fully dry. I mean, I can still feel it's kind of cool, you know. So so that still needs to dry for another 2 or 3 hours before I can put another layer on it. So gum is not a one layer thing. You're talking minimum of 3 layers, more like 4 or 5 is going to be your typical minimum. But then there's guys like, I can't think of his name. Anyhow, I'll think of it as soon as the phone call's over. But there's other guys that do 11 layers. And like Diana Bloomfield down in North Carolina, she typically does 4 layers, but I think lately she's been doing 7, you know. Diana Bloomfield does, and she was the first one that I saw. Yeah, Bloomfield, I think. Blooo. Yep, down. Yep, you got it. 00. Yep. There you go. DH Bloomfield, that's it. So she does gum over platinum, gum over cyanotype, and that's the reason why. And there's Bob Carney, that video there. Bob Carney does. He's up in Toronto, and he does gum bichromate. He has a very specific. She does. This is called her old garden. She does a lot of kind of dead flowers.
God, I can't even put into words how much I love this work.
Oh, I know, it's awesome. She is so open and inviting. I emailed her out of the blue. I mean, knowing practically nothing about this, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm just a dumbass that does a little bit of platinum right now. I kind of want to get into this. What do you suggest? She sent back like a 3-paragraph long email 30 minutes later.
Nice.
I was like, holy crap. And that's part of what I love about the alt processes is everybody is willing to share 100% of what they've learned. I mean, you just ask anyone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let me help you. This is how I do it." And gum bichromate, what's neat about it though is everybody has a different way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like she freely admits that everything she does, like in Photoshop and Curve, she doesn't use Photoshop. She uses GIMP, I think, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Is all freehand. So the curve she applies, she eyeballs. And the exposure time and everything, she basically just eyeballs everything and does it, you know, versus you have other guys like me that want to get as scientific as possible simply to make it repeatable, you know. And so yeah, it's fascinating. But she does pinhole photography and the gum bichromate.
When you're ready to go out and do something even a little bit different than that, go get yourself an 8x10 pinhole camera.
I've got 3.
That is just a beautiful.
Did you end up getting one of those the other week?
No, I got the 6x7.
You did?
It's due here in about 3 weeks.
I've got the pinholes done for the one downstairs, and the equivalent focal lengths is 170, 170, 360, and 600, I think. But they're like f395, f500, yeah. So I want to say even at 100 ISO on a sunny day, you're looking at a minimum of 2 seconds or something. I forget which one that was, probably the one that's most open. And well, I shoot FOMA 100, so 2 seconds ends up being 8. So there's basically my bare minimum, you know, on a nice sunny day.
This is one that's caught my eye. A 6x18.
Oh, really?
2 shots a roll.
Wow.
Oh, so that's a medium format panoramic?
Yep.
Oh, neat.
6x18. 2 shots on a roll.
How much is that?
Oh, it's sold out, but it's $250.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not
No,
bad.
it's and it's all brass
They're
and
so
that
beautiful.
cherry wood. They're just when you see them and you hold it, it's really hard to explain how beautiful that box is.
Wow.
That's all it is. It's a light-proof box with a nice little winding mechanism on it. But really, that's a bubble thing for getting it square.
So pretty.
Really fun. It's really fun. Really fun.
That's cool. Absolutely.
And they go all the way. They got 35 millimeter here too, by the way.
I hate 35 millimeter.
So, Mike, what got you into doing alternative processes?
I honestly don't know, really. I got into photography a little over a year ago because I had just gotten my FFL, and I figured, you know what, if I want to sell more guns than the next guy, I need to take better pictures. And so I got into that. I took a couple pictures of a couple guns, put them on Gun Broker, and then I forgot about the guns because they're not nearly as much fun as taking pictures of stuff. Yeah. And I think I had the camera about a month before I looked up Project 52 after watching some of Don's Creative Live stuff, and it just kind of went nuts from there. And honestly, I don't know where in that mix film and large format came into it. It just did, and I'm absolutely in love with medium format and large format. My Hasselblad's sitting there waiting for me, but it's raining outside, so I'm all pissed off about that. So but yeah, I like the squares and I like the big stuff. And I was actually thinking, another one of those things. I'm always thinking about ideas, things that are saleable, things that you can make money at. Because I've been a businessman my whole adult life, and there's another thing. I think you had even mentioned this, Don, but contact sheets of the 6x6 with platinum or whatever. Or even taking those and then cutting them out. Apparently that's a thing now. I was reading that the other day that guys are doing the little 6x6 in platinum. So okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
Well, if I had my choice back in the day whether to look at some prints of a photographer or look at their contact sheets, I wanted to see the contact sheets.
Yeah.
I really, really wanted to see the contact sheets because that's where you get to see the thought process.
Yeah.
There was a book put out. The book is so old it's not in print anymore. I wonder if I'd get in trouble if I videotaped it, the pages. But it's got like Diane Arbus's shot of the little boy with the hand grenade. That famous, yeah.
His little claw hand.
And he looks so weird and everything. The other 11 shots, he's just a little kid. She had him do that thing with his face, and that's the shot she used. The other 11 shots are just a kid in the park, like any other kid. But he'll forever be known as the little strange kid in the park with a hand grenade in his hand. And the shot Eisenstadt did of the sailor kissing the nurse, the contact sheet up to and after that is fascinating. It's 30, I think there's 35 shots, 34 terrible, terrible photographs, and one brilliant thing that just jumps off the page. It's really, really incredible. It's really fun to see.
Yeah, Wikipedia has the contact sheet for that in here.
That's a good one.
That's
a good one. Let me see if I can hold this up. This is sort of the same thing. It's called Hollywood Frame by Frame. And it's exactly that. It's like famous photographs, and then it shows all the contact sheets. It's really nice.
Doesn't it also show the markings and stuff and kind of the notes and stuff on them?
Yeah, it's got like the X's and the crop marks and stuff. And it's like, here's some stills like from the still photographer of like The Godfather, and it shows you the contact sheets of that. And
nice.
I think it's still on. Yeah, they're like right here is stuff for Taxi Driver, and there's like yellow grease pen on some of the shot on the contact sheets. And so that's Hollywood Frame by Frame. It's by Kiriana Longsworth. I think it's still on Amazon. Fantastic book.
Yeah, that's on my list. You know, you put this up on a group, I think, Dawn, and then Sophie put it on her feed, and I saw it on Sophie's feed first, but I had to pick it up. And this thing is this is a phenomenal book.
Oh, nice.
Oh, in my
the
taxi
thing.
guy
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Ryan Weedman. And it's just, I mean, it's just the imagery. There's no words, no context to any of it, which makes it even better, you know? It just, he lets the images speak for himself. And I can't tell if this is a 6x7 or 6x9. I'm thinking 6x7. But yeah, it's a really, really neat book.
Oh, Hollywood Frame by Frame, folks, is on sale, massive sale right now. Here, I'll share this with you. $40 book for $13.98.
Yeah, on Amazon.
Yep.
I was just going to link to that.
Watch how you do it. Buy now. Place your order.
Only 8 in stock.
I'll tell you what, that there's just something magical about
There's another one in the top picks for you. Look at that Magnum contact sheet one.
Awesome.
Where's that? Oh, Magnum.
Oh, that's the one.
That's the one that this has been around a long time. When did this print?
You were talking about Magnum, Dave, weren't you, Sophie?
Yeah,
You're muted.
13 new. Is this the older one that's been around since, I want to say, 85 or something? Or is this a new one? Oh, this is a new
2017
one.
must be
Holy
updated version?
crap, 2017. So this is going to have all new stuff in it.
There's only 12 now, Don.
What, of these?
Yeah, I just bought one.
Okay. Hardcover, $275.41.
Wow.
Interesting, it's not on Kindle. Interesting.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll make a decision on this one here so shortly.
Stick it in your wish list.
Great.
Yeah, that's all you can do, isn't it?
Yep.
All righty. So let's check in with some other folks. We've got someone here from Australia. We did have someone from Australia, and now they're gone.
Oh.
We got Virginia, hasn't been here for a while. Virginia, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good.
You're good?
I was eating my lunch, so I didn't want to be. It was a mess.
Uh-oh.
You froze, Virginia.
We've got technical difficulties.
She froze right out. While she's fixing that, we'll check in with Sophie. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. After my disaster shot.
Uh-oh, something didn't work?
My grid on her skin.
Oh, the grid.
Come on.
I've not seen that happen. I was
didn't
gonna
show-
ask
it
you
didn't
to
show on
take a
camera.
I was
It
gonna
only
ask you
showed
to
in
take a
Lightroom.
I want you to take a picture of your lighting setup, because that grid is so close to your light, it should not be showing.
No, because it was in there.
How far away from the subject was the
No,
grid?
I was close. It was close.
Yeah,
That's
but
what-
where was the grid? On it or in it?
Yeah. No, it's on it.
It's on it?
Yeah.
How far away from the model?
Yeah, not far. Not far. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you were so close to the model that it was still coming out, but when your scrim or your flag or your cookie or whatever is close to the light, we're not supposed to be able to see it. I've seen that happen, but usually it was because somebody had stuck the grid way out in front of the light, 18 or 20 inches. But if you had it right on the reflector,
It's sold with it, and it's meant to go here. So
Yeah.
What type of light were you using?
8200.
How far away? How far into the reflector was your 8200? Because you clamp it down with a clamp, right?
I don't know. Half of the 8200 is sticking out. Half.
Would it,
You could
No,
would it possibly be too close to the grid, Don? If she
No,
if
no,
she
no.
has that
The
8200
closer-
slid.
the closer it is to the grid, the less we would see that shadow.
Oh.
What we're
Maybe
talking
too
about,
far
I
away.
wonder if Sid's ever had this. What we're talking about, Sid, is the grid spot is actually, the grid is actually showing up on the skin of somebody where the grid is shining. And
Yeah, I saw that shot that she had posted, and I don't understand how that's showing up like that. That was kind of
I
weird.
don't get it either.
It should be a cleaner circle.
Yeah, it should not, we should not see that grid.
Yeah.
Unless, let me ask you this, was the young lady's tummy, did you shine it up with oil or anything like that? Was she sweaty or anything?
No.
Didn't appear to it. So here's what you do. You take the grid and you put a little piece of diffusion material on the grid, and then you push that grid in to the reflector with that diffusion material between the light and the grid. That should fix it, because it's just going to add a little bit of diffusion to it. If that doesn't fix it, and you turn it around and put the diffusion on the outside of the grid, but it will soften your grid. It's going to soften the spread of the grid because it's a diffuser. But I'd try it on the inside just before the grid to see if that gives you a little cleaner light. Don't use your modeling light. All the 8200 doesn't have modeling light anyway. Well, it does, doesn't it? Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a hot modeling light.
What is that?
It's not hot. It doesn't get really hot. Like,
No.
yeah, the modeling light in my pro photos, they get really hot. I mean, they'll,
Okay.
they'll set it on
No.
fire if it was closed.
No. But also, it did not show on camera. It only showed once in Lightroom. Because otherwise I would have seen it, because I was checking.
Well,
And
if you go back and check, it's there.
okay.
Yeah, it's there. You'd have to, maybe you have to blow it up really big, but it's not going to be added between the camera and Lightroom.
No, I didn't mean that. But yeah.
Well, and the other thing you can do is just there's in Photoshop, there's a filter called Gaussian blur. And just blur the shit out of the picture. And when people ask you why it's so blurry, just tell them, because I like it that way.
You could probably do frequency separation and replace the color where the shadow grid is.
Ooh, I don't know. That was a big pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but
the photo quality is not worth all that work in Photoshop anyway, because I was also completely underexposed and so on. That's another. So the photo itself is not worth saving, unfortunately. But I just wanted to make sure that it doesn't happen to me again when,
Yeah,
Well, you said you're underexposed. Did you have to use your Lightroom slider to slide way up to bring it up high enough?
But the photo I posted is zero edit on it. It's straight out of camera.
Okay.
That one is just the way it came out.
Okay. All right.
That's weird. And the grid and the reflector, they're made for each other. They're like the same brand, or is the light? The reflector came with the light too?
Yeah. No. The reflector was bought separately, but the grids came with the reflector.
Okay. That's weird. I don't know why.
I don't know, because all my Movember project, I shot with the snoot, and I had a grid on the snoot, and I never had on the things. It never.
I'm surprised you guys have never seen that, because I see it all the time with my grids on that 7-inch reflector. If you're too close, and basically it just kind of tells me, well, I'm too close. If I want,
Yeah.
But
I've never put them that close. I mean, that's, you got to get pretty close with them.
Well, I mean, I did a video for Sophie of the comparison of the grid versus the Fresnel, and at 1 meter, you've got, I don't know what it was about a 2 or 3 foot circle with the grid, but you can clearly see the lines from the grid. At the Fresnel, at the same meter, I can get it down to like that, so you can actually back it up and get a softer light, from farther back, and you have no lines.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Fresnel is it concentrates a lot in the middle, So you really have to tone your power down, otherwise you get a hot spot in the middle. You know.
Test it against the wall before you have a model again, Sophie, and see if
I'll show you my model. I'll show you my testing model.
She's like, I got it right here.
Love this.
I keep her in the closet.
There
My
she is.
girlfriend. So I'm working with her tomorrow.
Did she sign the model release? It's going to be hard with no arms.
My neighbor's got the head, so we're sorted. We're sharing. He's not getting a say.
And that is, ladies and gentlemen, that just broke the record. We have to start over again. It was 400 YouTube episodes with me and no boobs. So
Sorry.
that's all right. That's all right. We started. Here we go. One.
We
Was
can't
that
get
a
out this
thing?
one.
I didn't know, Don. I would have made, I would have covered her up or something.
Let's check in with Virginia. Let's see what she's doing. She's back here now. Virginia, how are you? Uh-oh.
I had to go to the iPad. I accidentally unplugged my computer when I moved the monitor.
Oh,
Unplugged
okay.
in the back.
So you're building
I've been working.
a studio at home.
Yeah, it's hard because there's so many of us and we have a lot of stuff. So I basically emptied the garage enough to have the front 6 or 7 feet. And then I had bought these canvas panels so they divide off the thing. And then Dan just built me this, it was a bar table and he put 3 sides on it and I can use it either for a shooting table or put all my backdrops behind it.
Okay.
And then I bought a box of Masonite 2 by 3 feet Masonite boards that we're going to paint this weekend for backgrounds. And I have, a ton of props and that stuff from all the cooking and entertaining we do and the collecting. So I want to take pictures like Judy did, of what my studio setup is. And then because it's open, the driveway's in front, which is like a perfect reflector for light. But I'm in the shade. And then I can use it to shoot. Plus, I noticed there's a lot of high school seniors that have terrible pictures in the community groups because because of social distancing, people haven't done that. So I can I've already done a few senior cap and gown portraits. And it's super easy, 15 minutes, but because I stretch it, I do their cap and gown pictures and their a few extra. And then they're ordering prints, so it's easy. Because there's not much money in this town. But I'm doing the co-op that I work out of, that I network out of, is getting ready to open, so I can use my little studio for products and that kind of thing.
Oh, very cool. We'll check in with Sarah because Sarah has been working on developing her marketing materials around the fact that she has a place to shoot at her home as well. Sarah, you there? Hello, Sarah. Sarah Flannery. Sarah has maybe there she is.
Hey, sorry.
That's all right.
Cleaning up after a shoot.
Did you send out your email yet?
And I'm going to start on Monday.
Okay.
I was organizing the list by case production and those types of things because I want to hit the big players first.
Yes, and Sarah has in her home a place where she could shoot some lifestyle, liquor ads, beer ads, all kinds of stuff right there in her home, including a pool table, beautiful pool table. So she's going to market that right now while people are doing the distancing and stuff. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, and then otherwise I'm just working on some raw food shots just to start building the food portfolio as well.
Excellent. If you get a chance to go over to So Fong's site.
I did not, no.
Angeli, if you get a chance, angelifong.com.
Yep.
Go check out her food. She's been working on that with me for a couple of weeks as well.
Okay.
And it was really interesting, a little insight. She realized she doesn't have to cook it. She can just go and get things. And she went and got some bok choy and some Swiss chard, and she came back and made absolutely stunning photographs. Just beautiful of bok choy. So, it doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be beautiful.
Yeah, that's all I've been doing is raw vegetables, fruit, that type of stuff. And I found I had an excess of fruit in my house today, so I decided to try and do like a Dutch Masters still life.
Oh,
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I did 12 or 18 different versions of it. I don't know that I like any of them, but it's kept me busy.
It's a nice looking studio you got there, Sarah.
Yeah, it's a decent space. I think the thing that frustrates me is it's the room above our garage, so it's got a very pitched roof.
Yeah.
So you can't get, in the center of the room, you can get the lights up really high, but on the side you can't. And then the way that it comes down, like I've got, I don't know if you can see them, the rolls on the wall up at, they're max, they're like, I think 84 inches wide or something like that. So
you got them up as high as they're going to go.
That's it. So, if somebody's standing, I'm having to fill in above their heads and stuff.
Sure.
So it is what it is. It's better than nothing, I think. So
yeah, absolutely. I've never met a
if
photographer who said, "Yeah, I have enough space."
if you aim the lights at the roof, now instead of it being a challenge because they're tilting and you have really big soft boxes.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, but it's a decent space. So, not complaining.
Excellent. Who wants to share anything? Anybody want to share something about the week or what's coming up? What they're doing?
I don't know.
Virginia, you mentioned that your son-in-law and your daughter's business just basically died, of course.
Yeah, nothing. They didn't lose any work. They had one cancellation where someone was going to go to Ireland. They were going to cancel totally, but it looks like they're moving to Southern California and getting married, so they just transferred everything. But, they do travel elopements, and travel is an issue. Even if they open everything up, people are afraid
Travel will remain an issue, yes.
Yeah, and so they're just pivoting to, because they did get that government, that PPP thing, and they got their $1,200 each, federal, whatever that was called. So that helped, but they have to earn some money, so he started roasting coffee. His roaster comes next week for larger amounts, and she started baking sourdough bread and then giving it to people, and people said, "I'd pay you for this." So she did it on a donation basis, and now people are ordering her. She's a really good baker.
Good.
And so they have Instagrams, and we're photographing, and then we also have a large vintage clothing collection we're selling off, and that gives us a lot of product photography. She has her style and I have mine, and we're just building out what we can. So,
well, if any photographer who's looking for some side income, I would say this, and I'm very serious. If you can leverage it, buy a laundromat. Because laundromats are simply cash printing places. Buy one that's got customers, paint it, put in free Wi-Fi. Literally for $5,000, you can take over a laundromat, a little bit of paint, a little bit of signage, etc. And that laundromat's going to sit there. Someone else you're going to have somebody who goes in every day and mops it and keeps the machines clean and everything. Like, you're still going to clear $1,000 to $2,000 a month clear off that laundromat. And the other thing is to find kids that want to start a job and finance their hot dog cart.
Oh.
The money in hot dog carts would make your brain explode. I had no idea. But I don't see there's anything wrong with photographers branching out in different types of investments and things like that. I wouldn't tell you photographers to go get a hot dog cart. Finance it.
I listened to Don. I listened to a wedding photography podcast yesterday. Just a lot of wedding photographers I knew from when I did that, and they were talking about one of them who'd been in the business 25 years was telling the younger photographers, you have to be willing to do anything to feed your family. So he said the last recession, he moved people, whatever he could think of to do, he did. And he said, in the long run, all those people that he worked with became a network for clients later on, So the people that he moved, somebody in their family got married and hired him, somebody that he filled in when their employees, they were short on employees, and he worked with a sandwich shop for a while, then they became people that hired him later on or recommended him. So he was just saying, you have to work hard and pivot and do whatever it takes to feed your family. And in the long run,
artists, and you're right. And artists have for so long feared that. It's like they don't want to do that. That's like, no, I must do my art and my art only.
Yeah.
And I'm seriously looking at financing somebody's hot dog cart. You get the right place, you could literally, the kid who runs the cart makes a nice chunk of change from you. All you need is a place to store the cart and refrigeration for the hot dogs and some branding. And, you could be making, $1,500 a month off a hot dog cart after paying the kid great money.
DonsDogs.com.
Don's Dogs, man. There's a shop in Yuma, Arizona, Don's Tacos, and they're good. And that's all I got. Those are good tacos.
As long as it's DonsDogs.com. That could go bad.
Don't slip an N in there by accident.
Yeah. Well, when my business went in the crapper because I was working for ad agencies and hadn't been paid, I just, I ran out of cash. I ran out of capital.
Mm-hmm.
I had, my wife and I were scheduled to go on vacation. We had about 600 and something bucks in the bank and $87,000 in receivables.
Right. Yeah.
And that's when you just think, wait a minute, this isn't working. And I just said, I got to figure out a way to make this work. And I did all kinds of jobs, but while I was getting my graphic design thing honed down, I started going to industrial places, industrial things, and handing out these little things I had printed in Kansas City, this big printer, very, very cheap, but they were in color. And I said, I do trade ads, I do product sheets, I do brochures. I talk to them in their language instead of saying I'm a photographer. I did that, and I turned my business around. But because those people were happy to cut you a check. They weren't into like 60 and 120 days billing and all that crap. They'd go, oh, thank you very much. Here's how much do we owe you? Here we go. And then I ended up being an ad agency. But we paid our vendors. We paid our vendors on delivery. Every single vendor, from writers to photographers to illustrators. They would, if they brought their invoice down with their images, we'd have them, wait real quick, and our traffic person would cut them a check.
No.
And that was something my idiot partner and I agreed on. He said, I don't want to leave people hanging ever. Cash flow is too important.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's a good way to do it. I even noticed, like, I used to, when I would assist, there was one guy I really liked to assist only because the minute you got in the car in the morning, he gave you the check for the day.
Yep.
And that way, and I've assisted other people where, 2 months go by and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, and this is the problem when photographers say, "Well, you'll get paid when I get paid."
Yeah.
And I've never done that. My assistants, even my full-time assistants, they get paid every week.
Yep.
They get paid every week. My wife and I
Yep.
might have macaroni and cheese and ramen for the month, but my people got paid every week because they depended on that money.
Yep.
But I've heard of photographers, they'll go, "Well, yeah, you get paid when I get paid."
Yeah, it's
Hey,
not in yet.
the way
Yeah.
you run your business is none of my business.
Yep. That's right.
And so, what goes around comes around. I've always done, always will.
So safety tip, if you ever hire an assistant, you want to get extra work out of them or even higher level of work, just give them a check that morning. And man, it just changes their whole attitude.
Yeah, and all you have to do is tell the client you need X amount of upfront money.
Right, because you're in the long run, you're not paying for that anyways. So
No.
and it's
And if the client, my belief was very strong after being burned so many times, is what if you don't have the money now to pay me, you aren't gonna have it a month from now.
right.
So whatever little magic fairy you think you've got going on in your head of how this deal is going to close, you're going to get that check. We've all been there. That doesn't happen half the time. And now I'm out because of your bad business. I need to be paid. My people need to be paid. And it was, I made sure that I covered all my expenses with that upfront check. And if they didn't have an upfront check for me, I didn't do the job. And I will tell you, there were times when I was in the car going home thinking and banging my head, thinking, you idiot, but I know better. I know better. I would never want to come to someone like Sid or Mark or Virginia and say, "Oh, you can't buy groceries next week because the guy didn't pay me."
Right.
You're more likely to run your business that way, where you ask for the upfront money to pay them and get it, because you have that integrity towards your people who work for you.
Yeah.
That you would expect the integrity for the people that hire you to give you the upfront money to have everything run smooth.
Yeah.
But when I was president of ASMP, there was that year there was a big problem with several ad agencies that had opened up, little 1- and 2-man ad agencies, and they would do the job. The photographers would do the job, deliver the job. The brochure would be printed, and there'd be no check. And what would happen? The ad agency would then sell itself to itself.
Ugh.
And say, "Well, I'm sorry, that was the other ad agency. They owe you money. We don't owe you money." And so photographers were at meetings. They were saying, "Well, what can we do? What can we do?" And I said, "Well, doesn't your contract protect you?" And I had seasoned photographers, guys that I was competing against. And I always thought, "Well, those guys are really good." They'd say, "Contracts?
We didn't sign anything."
Well, if you give those guys a contract, they won't hire you." Well, number one, did you see the water cooler when you walked in? The people who drop the water off every day or every week,
They got a contract.
The Mr. Coffee machine, they got a contract. The copier machine, they got a contract. And you're dealing with a $30,000 photo shoot and you're going, "Oh, no, we're good."
Yep.
My contract at the time said, whoever signed the form, you are responsible for the production of these images, and these images are not legally allowed to be printed printed at the time. We didn't have web. Printed until the invoice is paid in full.
Payment in full.
And once it's paid, enjoy. But if you print that brochure, by law, you can print the brochure and the check can be in the mail. You violated the contract. You printed it before you paid me. And that's a problem. But if you go into a court of law today, in modern times, and you go in and go, I did this photo job for this client, and he didn't pay me. And the client, he look at the judge and go, "I didn't know I had to pay him, Your Honor." Judge says, "Well, let me see the contract." If you're a photographer, "I don't have a contract," you might as well just keep walking, Jack.
Yeah.
Now it's his word against yours. That's not how the law works. If you've got a contract, he's in deep trouble. So, just cover your butts, But the other thing I asked the photographers is like, so you're afraid that the ad agency that didn't pay you won't hire you again to do a job that they pay you for.
Oh.
That they're not going to pay you for.
Yes, they're not going to pay you. This is what you're worried about, right?
Yeah.
I only lasted as chapter president of ASMP for 2 terms, and they got rid of me because
Because you never shared your opinions?
Yeah.
oh, I try to keep all my opinions to myself.
We have to pry them out of you, Don.
My first boss when I was in management taught me that, and taught me. He took me to the lawyer, and they taught me how to write a contract for the antique mall business. And I managed a lot of them, and I wrote the contracts for all of them. So because the lawyer explained what each thing meant, so that why you had it in the contract and how you protected yourself.
And I used all my contracts were called plain English contracts. We didn't do any party of the first party, or part of the first party, part of the second party, who shall be and therefore described as blah blah blah. We didn't do any of that. We just
Good.
had it written as regular English.
And if it's clear, you go to court. The judge is they're fine with that.
Yeah, because the judge looks at it and said, "Well, you're not trying to pull a wool. You're not trying to double talk or double speak."
Yeah.
It was pretty
Right.
simple.
The clearer you make it, the more it works in your favor.
Yep. They never did follow the instructions that I was to be referred to as His High Eminence. I was trying to get that started, but it never worked.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
That's right.
That's a good one.
Hey, thanks guys for coming out. Again,
Thanks.
Thanks
special
for having on.
thanks to Sid because he makes himself available every Friday, and we sit around and chat, and then we invite people over to come and sit around and chat with us. I love it. Oh, Sid.
Yeah.
You may be by yourself next week.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you want to join Sid next week?
I should be able to, yeah.
I'll set it up. I am going on a motorcycle ride.
Cool.
All right.
Next
I'll be here.
Friday, I will be somewhere up in southern Utah.
I'll be here too.
Okay?
Cool.
I'll
Good.
put it on.
Very good.
Awesome.
That'll work.
I will see you guys.
Have a nice trip.
Bye.
Have a safe trip.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
have a good trip.
Keep the
Bye-bye.
shiny side up.
Mm-hmm.